renewables are no longer experimental. It's more of the mainstream infrastructure sector in current modern era of India.
2025 was the biggest year for the solar in India. Like in the entire year, we added approximately 38 gigawatts of the solar capacity.
Policy intent is very strong, but execution economics need to be strengthened further, and I'm expecting this from this budget.
Welcome to the Secretariat. Today we have with us Mr. Prem Prakash, CEO of Servotech, and Mr. Yogesh Kudale, CEO and co-founder of TapeRo. Today we will be talking about the renewable energy sector ahead of budget session 2026. Looking back at the past year, what were the achievements that renewable energy sector witnessed, and which were the policies and market factors that contributed to the progress of the sector?
If you look at the last year, actually 2025 was the biggest year for the solar in India. Like in the entire year, we added approximately 38 gigawatts of the solar capacity. And if you just look at the MNRE official dashboard, it is clearly mentioned that our solar capacity reached at approximately 135 gigawatts entirely, which includes off-grids, which includes solar, which includes hybrid project and rooftops, like almost each and every plants which are there in India.
India added significant solar and EV charging capacity. I mean, the kind of charging stations we have installed in the last 1 year as an industry, the kind of grid scale storage discussion which has been happening. So solar and EV charging both have significantly added its capacity.
One of the biggest improvement what we did was because of Pradhan Mantri Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana. Like that 20,000 crore allocation, it boosted the solar energy infrastructure in the rooftops to a great extent in the second half of the year. I guess that was the biggest achievement what we achieved in the last year.
The biggest one is the achievement has been scale and stability of this market. Renewables are no longer experimental. It's more of the mainstream infrastructure sector in current modern era of India. Manufacturing under PLI schemes has been benefiting like anything. However, it has to be strengthened till the last mile, where the OEMs should also be getting PLIs. But the PLI scheme the PLI scheme has helped in terms of creating domestic capability in modules, chargers, power electronics, and all. The policy made by Government of India and state governments are very clear, directional.
According to you, what are the most pressing challenges the industry currently faces, and how are these affecting the project execution and growth plans of the industry?
Challenges, I mean, from day one till date, the cost of capital has been very challenging for specifically the private sector like us. If the cost of capital remains, I mean, till date remains the biggest challenge. I discuss with people from the industry, folks from industry, and everybody talks about this. The high interest rates, slow project viability is something which always create a kind of uncertainty in the minds of investors. If we really look for options like VGF, which is viability gap financing, this would actually reduce the cost of capital, and it would also help the industry show more interest and confidence in terms of taking the goals forward. The second challenge which impacts the growth is the DISCOM payment delays. I mean, if government is coming up with a policy, there should also be an inclusion of policy in terms of payment turnaround time, which actually disturbs the cash flow. It strains it, especially for MSMEs and EPC player like us. So here is, I mean, there are a lot of scope wherein we can streamline the payment or payment turnaround time from DISCOM. The third one is grid readiness and land availability, where we are not keeping pace with the capacity building. The kind of availability of land and grid capacity, the way we should be building it, we have not been building it at the same pace. And the fourth one, or a pressing challenge, is that frequent policy changes. I mean, enhancing a policy is a very good thing, but then changing it frequently disturbs the entire ecosystem, where people believe that this is a very uncertain kind of sector, and this is something which is a very prominent challenge. So these are the four things which comes to my mind.
So, like, even the solar capacity is growing very fast. There are some real challenges or common problems which are building on the ground. One of the biggest challenge is the project delay. Like many projects get stuck because of land problems, the local approvals, or like delay in getting the grid connectivity. So the plants are ready, but they are not selling the power at full pace. And one of the biggest challenge which is there in the solar power plant, which is basically the transmission availability. Like in several regions, the solar power plant are built faster than the transmission line. So even if the solar power plants are completed, they are not able to transmit the power to the grid, which like directly hits the revenue over a period of time. And the second biggest challenge, which is basically the financing, which is again another pressure point which each and every solar power plant or the renewable energy solar power plant face, because it is basically a huge investment which ROI gives you after 4 years or 5 years. For smaller developers and rooftop customers, getting the affordable loan is still not that easy. And like there is also uncertainty in the PPAs or the grid approvals. Like if the PPA contract is delayed slightly, the connectivity rules create confusions and risk in the developers and investors.
Where do you see gaps that need urgent attention in upcoming budget 2026? And are you expecting any reforms, any announcement that will boost confidence among investors?
If there is some budget allocated to improve the grid execution or the transmission line execution, that will like grow renewable energy capacity with a great speed. Then there is one of the issues, the execution complexity. Finance access for the execution is one of the biggest issue which needs to be addressed in the current budget, which will be announced soon. So if there is some subsidiary or there is some low interest loans which are available for execution of the solar power plant, that will like solve the problems which currently exist.
Now, the PLI for domestic manufacturing has worked wonders. Can Government of India, while drafting the budget, come up with PLI for OEMs as well, the last mile contributors to this particular sector? If at all there is a PLI, added for OEMs, PLI added for service providers or somebody who is deploying and executing these projects, I think the entire ecosystem would get benefited and it would scale up. The second element which worked is like PM Surya Ghar or Kusum Yojana. It has worked wonders. People have started looking out for a solar solution at their rooftop. It has worked well. The third one is EV charging policy clarity. When we look back 3 years ago, we never had a clarity on, what is an EV charging meter or an EV meter. Today, every state, every district, every DISCOM knows what is EV meter, how it is actually. I mean, the entire process is clear. Now, the gap which I see is, lack of low cost long term financing. As I said, there has to be a green window financing for all of these projects, from pre-installation to putting hardware to managing and commissioning, and to again taking care of these projects. If there are green window financing, single window financing at a low cost or a low interest, people would show more maturity, people would show more interest, and this particular sector will scale up. The second one is, we should be bringing in a strong national framework for energy storage. We have been discussing about energy storage, but no national framework has been announced so far. I'm hoping and expecting that this time the budget also, brings in an element of national energy storage, where we are as an organization is also interested in, contributing a lot. And there are a lot of such players who want to really do good. We are innovators, and India is known for it. And I think this should also find a place in policy formation, this budget. The third one is insufficient incentives for Indian OEMs beyond manufacturing. I mean, as I said, manufacturing is one aspect of building this infrastructure. There are deployment, there are management, there are commissioning, there are maintenance, there are various agencies. And I think incentives should be announced for all those agencies who are directly or indirectly contributing. So I find the policy intent is very strong, but execution economics need to be strengthened further. And I'm expecting this from this budget.
Thank you, Mr. Prem and Mr. Yogesh, for joining us today, and I hope to see you soon again.